Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Assassin's Creed Nexus VR official gameplay trailer. This is brought to us by IGN, and I do have some stuff to say. So without further ado, let's dive in, break this down, and well, maybe hope for the future. Assassin's Creed Nexus seems to be going for more of a story-driven game versus a sandbox-style experience. And from first glance, it looks like you can do almost everything that you can normally do in traditional Assassin's Creed games. You can flick out your hidden blade and take someone down from the sky, jump into a barrel of hay, throw your tomahawk, and even fire a bow while jumping. And the parkour itself actually looks really cool and impressive. So let's go over what they show us in the trailer, starting with parkour. For the most part, it seems like this game is dedicated to getting parkour right and feeling like you're playing Assassin's Creed, well, literally just in VR. So I appreciate the amount of time and attention that seems to be going into this free running. What's awesome is they say that you can approach these maps from 360 degrees. If you can see it, you can climb it. You have things for your handholds as well as for your feet to go. So it seems like there's grip points when you're running around, so you're not just stumbling about. They have also gone on and added a bunch of accessibility features for playing. And of course you could play without them, but if you're someone that's prone to motion sickness or you just want to experience this game and you don't really have your VR legs, there's a way for almost everyone to still play. There's a traditional free locomotion as well as teleporting controls or even on-rail controls for climbing. And you even do these different gestures while you're swinging on like a pole. You fling yourself from behind your head, and that looks really cool. I am excited to see what you can do with this parkour because it seems limitless. I want to climb on everything. And if this plays exactly like they're showing with parkour, this is going to be awesome to just run around and explore it. So up next, they're talking about the stealth. So what makes me a bit uneasy about this is that they claim that this is a stealth-first style of gameplay. So what it seems is these multiple maps you're going into is you access it probably from the Nexus. So don't expect an entire open world. Expect to go in and out of different chapters in this game. Like you lay down, however they're going to do it, and then you go into each mission and you're like, hey, go play as Connor, go play as this guy and beat the mission. And to me, that means like the enemies are going to be in like predetermined places rather than being like exploring the map. But we'll get to that in a sec. There's a lot of sneaking and peeking around where the enemies are pseudo blind to what's going on, but you also have the ability to blend in with the crowd from what I saw, and that looks really cool. But I wonder if the enemies can kind of hear you. Do you have to walk around like in crouch mode IRL? Do you hold down on the right stick to do it? Or are the enemies just like completely unable to hear footsteps? But what is cool is they added dynamic objects around the map that you can throw to get enemies' attention, like throwing a pot and leading them to another side of the ship so you can do a different part of the objective. And then they also have this like whistle mechanic where you physically bring your hands like up to your lips and you press a button, of course, but it makes it whistle. It would have been cool if they, accessed the microphone capability, kind of like The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, but I suppose I'll give them a pass on that. So there's definitely a lot that's going into stealth, but what I have to say is that the AI doesn't look that great around stealth. They seem to be blind and deaf at the same time and only react to you throwing certain things. And even if you peek like directly in front of them, they don't really seem to see you. Now, up next, they're showing the combat. And what I will say to you right now is just by looking at it from multiple different trailers, so far, I am not a fan of what they're about to show in this combat. Let's start off with the hidden blade. The hidden blade is really cool looking because you press a button, then you physically flick your wrists. So, I mean, that's going to feel awesome. I'm going to constantly do that over and over, but that's not combat. That's just like a pseudo animation and the player doing something. Taking enemies down silently with the Assassin's Blade, of course, is part of stealth, but it also looks like it's part of the main combat. However, don't expect this combat to feel like Blade and Sorcery. I would say expect the combat to feel more like a game called Until You Fall, where the enemy is pretty much telegraphing exactly where they're swinging and you have to block exactly how they want you to block, otherwise you're going to take some damage. So for the most part, the free-form combat isn't there that Assassin's Creed is kind of known for. And especially when you translate this to VR and games that are already doing this like Blade and Sorcery and Battle Talent and Swordsman VR, people are expecting the combat to feel pretty good when it comes to this. So they say there's blocking, attacking, and what they call opportunity windows. And this to me looks exactly like Until You Fall, where each enemy is standing in front of you. They're not circling you. They're just waiting for their chance to attack, and they're telegraphing where and how you need to block. And also the enemies themselves, like the goal is to kind of stagger them. So you're hitting them a couple of times like with your sword and they're okay. Like they don't have a health bar that you can see, but you know, behind the scenes, there's definitely some sort of health bar saying when or how they're going to be staggered. They said they want to make it feel like you're fighting like a master assassin, and they're expecting the difficulty of this game to be, well, difficult. And from what I can tell, the enemies just literally stand in front of you telegraphing their attack. So it's almost like it is VR, but it's like VR on rails, if that makes sense. And it doesn't seem like you can always use the hidden blade in combat. It seems like they have to be staggered first, and then you enter in like almost like a quick time animation to get it done. I could be wrong about that one, but it doesn't really seem like they use the hidden blade while in combat only just to finish an enemy off. But also, let's talk about things like ranged combat. Every assassin has additional ranged combat abilities. There's a tomahawk, there's a throwing knife, there's a bow, and that stuff looks really cool. But it does look like there is an insane amount of aim assist when you fire. I mean, it's just, I've seen people jump off the roof in this trailer and shoot the bow and it went exactly where it needed to go, which if you played VR for a while, you know that's really not going to happen. So I feel like there's going to be some intense aim assist here. Anyway, what I'm trying to say, when it comes down to this close ranged or mid range or long range combat that's not stealth, I feel like that's going to be the weakest part of the game, because the enemies themselves just seem to be in one spot guarding their one thing. It's not like the whole city's going to come after you like you expect in a normal Assassin's Creed game. So let's say you have your quote unquote wanted level up super high. Don't expect to be surrounded by like 10 dudes at once and you have to be an actual master assassin. I would say expect like 3 people at most doing something, and don't even expect to get shot at by arrows while fighting someone. So, and like I said earlier, they give a lot of accessibility features to the game. There's even things, if someone's afraid of heights, they can turn on this like pass through grid mode that looks insane. I mean, there's no way you can even play like that, but it's just to remind you like, hey, this isn't real. And then there's also things like the vignette that appears while you're turning. I mean, it's not things that I'm going to use, and I assume most VR players aren't really going to use those accessibility features. So this is just kind of like welcoming newcomers into the fold. And in the end of the trailer, they kind of go over the story. They're talking about how do you play as 3 assassins and kind of make it make sense. And to be honest, I really don't care about the story per se. I mean, Assassin's Creed stories haven't ever really been riveting. And I really feel it's going to play exactly how you think. You're just playing as this avatar person, you talk to some tutorial lizard thing, and they have you go into the different Nexus zones. They're like, okay, we're going to need you to go to Greece right now and grease it up. And then when you're done, go to Boston and Boston it up. So I'm not really expecting anything, you know, groundbreaking here. So what am I trying to say overall about this one? They did list and show a bunch of cool features that you would kind of expect to find in an Assassin's Creed game. However, so many people have had their hopes up for so long for a really good Assassin's Creed VR game. And I'm just going to kind of call it right now. This ain't it. Currently, Blade and Sorcery is the closest thing you can get to an Assassin's Creed game, especially with mods using things like Tools of the Trade for your hidden blade, and installing avatars that you can actually play as the various assassins. The game also has stealth, the game has combat, it has climbing, it has all the parkour. Everything that they have shown in this trailer has already been done in a separate game. The only thing that this Assassin's Creed Nexus VR game has that no one else does is the name Assassin's Creed Nexus. Now, I think also one of the biggest problems is that this game is a Meta Quest exclusive, meaning that there is no PC version of this coming out, which to me is unfortunate, and let me tell you the reason why. And no, it's not because this is a game for a standalone headset. My biggest gripe is that it is also available for things like the Quest 2. I'm not saying that to be snobby, it's just that the Quest 2 is severely underpowered. So if this game can be run on a Quest 2 as well as the Quest 3 and Quest Pro, I just feel that this is going to be a very mediocre and milquetoast version of what everyone is expecting. Yes, the environments look cool, and being able to free run and climb all the stuff looks awesome. But it does kind of seem that once again, a AAA studio is trying to do VR, and they're doing the safest way possible of doing it. It doesn't even seem like they've played a game like Blade and Sorcery to draw any inspiration from. And to me, it feels like they're in their own bubble thinking that they're creating something brand new and innovative. But anyway, that's just my opinions about Assassin's Creed. What do you guys think? Did you watch this trailer? Do you think I'm completely wrong? And are you super hyped for this game? I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Feel free to yell at me, call me names, whatever you're going to do. But just know I did give you fair warning about this game. But other than that, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you're new to downloadable content, why not consider subscribing? It's free. Hit the little subscribe button. I will greatly appreciate it. I'm Drifter from Downloadable Content, and I will see you next time.